Hi, I'm Terry Sennett, Master Shaper, and you're watching SCTimes.com. My name is Terry Sennett. I'm from San Clemente, California. Graduated from the University of San Clemente, home of the Tritons, back in '74. Great school. Actually, we were on the first surf team that San Clemente ever started. Bob Neely and Jay McElwee were the ones that started it because they felt like there should be a surf team like the mountains had a ski team, and there was nothing like that around in these areas. And so that was the first year that they ever started, was probably in '72, I think, is when they started it, or '73. And then now it's a regular ticket item for the schools that they use, and they have the competitions. But we were the first year to ever have the competitions. You know, back then it was Brian Clark. He originally started BC Surfboards, and there was Max McDonald, who later on moved up and worked for Channel Islands. And obviously there was me, Terry, who became the head shaper for Infinity Surfboards in Dana Point. And I worked for them for, oh gosh, 18 years, made absolutely thousands and thousands of boards for them.
So when did you start shaping? How long have you been shaping? And touch base on the Infinity days.
My first surfboard I made when I was 12 years old. My mom took me down to the local surf shop in Oceanside, or actually Carlsbad, and she goes, "You sure you can do that?" I go, "Yeah, I can do it." And she was really, you know, behind me in doing it. So I made my first surfboard, and then I glassed it, and she helped me glass it. And I can still hear her yelling at me about, how do I get this resin from underneath my fingernails out? They didn't sell me any acetone, so I had no idea, you know, really what I was doing. But that was my first surfboard. Then I made a couple more with my brother. And then later on, when I moved to San Clemente, I made a couple in my garage. And then later on, when I was 18, I started making surfboards in my friend's horse tack room. And then I worked for Infinity Surfboards and became their head shaper. Ben Ipa from Hawaii came along, and I introduced him to Steve because I knew him, and we worked together as a combination. So I shaped for Infinity Surfboards and Ben Ipa Surfboards from Hawaii. And I got experience from both of them. They both taught me two different techniques in shaping, and with the combination of that and seeing a few other guys, like maybe Randy Slay, I picked up some other pointers from everybody and created my own style I have today. Those two are really my mentors. There's little bits and pieces I've picked up from other shapers, but my main body and my main technique for shaping is realistically through Steve Bainey and Ben Ipa. I'm mainly using here at the shop US Blanks, which is extenuation of Clark foam, or continuation of Clark foam. This here is the epoxy blank. It's a parabolic. You can see the stringers that are on the outsides here. It's a little bit different than having the stringer going down the center, but these are actually really good blanks also. When I'm designing my boards, if you can see down here, they have a concave going down the center of the board, and as it goes down, it'll go into two concaves down here, and then into V off the tail. And what that does is make the board a lot looser in its transition when you're surfing on it. I got my templates over here, which I make most of my surfboards out of. And I've had these for quite a few years, and a lot of them. But every year I make more and more of these surfboard templates. This particular one right here, I made for a guy, Otto Flores, from Puerto Rico a long time ago, that rode Chopu on it. This one has a what they call a thumb tail on it, which is one of my favorite tails that I like making for most of my surfboards. The swallowtail is actually really important for a lot of the other surfboards I make, which is my favorite tail for the surfboards I make. And this one here has a double wing on it, and on the other side here there's a triple wing, if you can see here. This seems to be the most popular tail, the double wing swallowtail, for the fishes that I'm making now, or the forefins I should say, which are the most popular shapes out there.
Tell me about some of your tools. What's the main tool for a shaper?
That would be the planer right here that I have, and I have one right here that's you can actually see. It has a shoe on it, which is right here, and this is how you adjust it to go up and down for your depths. I've had this for a long time. I have 4 of these. They don't make these. These were made back in the 30s is when they designed them. All shapers who have these will stick with these over the new ones that are out there right now. This particular tool is a half round shear form that I have, which is usually for doing the wings or certain concaves. This is my general tool that I use on shaping most of my surfboards by hand with. This particular tool, they quit making this back in the 60s. And you can't get this design anymore. But the reason why I like it is because it's so well balanced that it's almost the same on both sides. And it's really easy to work with. This is a modern block. That's a hobby tool. These are all hobby tools as far as these go. When I'm doing bigger pieces of wood besides these, I'll use a more industrial size block plane. This is a center finding ruler right here, and it goes both directions with the numbers, so whenever I'm measuring I can lay this on the surfboard and I can look exactly and see how wide this board's going to be, if I want it 20 inches wide or 19 inches wide. But it's really easy to work with this tool. A lot of the tools that the shapers use are handmade, and we make them for our own designs. This particular piece right here I made back at Infinity with Steve Bainey. This is probably 20 some years old, and the reason why this is so good is because it fits the rail of the outlines of the surfboards when you're sanding like this on the sides of the boards. This tool right here is what they call dragon skin. This can really tear your surfboard up if you're not using it correctly. This is the last thing that I usually use before I do the fine sanding on it. This is my sanding block, and I have different sandpapers in here, starting with 40 grit, going to 60 grit, and going to 80 grit. And the reason why I keep them all in here together is because it makes a softer pad on this block. And the block is made out of balsa wood with a nice foam pad from Rainbow Sandals. They were nice enough to give me some of their padding down there for it. And then this right here, these two are hard blocks, and they're usually done for doing a straight edge in the tail section or anywhere I need a really straight section. I have a fine one, I have a coarse one. And then over here we have the sanding screen, which you can see it has the holes in it, and that's usually what we're going to use for fine sanding. And we have a foam like this that's real soft and squishy, so it won't hurt the surfboard when we're shaping. I have a couple riders. Brett Slowinski, he's one of the top riders, or top in WSA right now. The pros, the ones that I have, are all retired, and I guess everybody who's in Orange County who likes surfboards usually wants to get a custom surfboard. You know, there's quite a few custom shapers around. I've been doing it for a long time, and if you truly want a custom surfboard, we can do it here. What happened?
I shredded, that's what happened.
How does that thing work?
Dude, it's so bitchin'. I love it way more than my other board.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that I did make that for you, Carly.
I know, I surfed yesterday and the day before at State Beach on it, and it was so fun. Fernando took pictures of me the first day, because he didn't feel like getting in the water, so he was a photographer. But I'll send you the pictures. It's so fun.
This is Terry Sennett.
And this is Heather Ritz.
And you're watching SciClimateTimes.com.
And so, Terry, who do we have here?
We have Heather Ritz. She's my artist, and she's been working for me since she was 16 years old, and now she's a very good artist.